Hey, what is up, you guys? Welcome back to the channel, or if you're new here, welcome to the channel. My name is Sammy, and this is another episode of Sewing with Sammy. Today is a special one. We're going to make a vest from scratch. I don't have a pattern to go off of. I don't have a tutorial to go off of, just the measurements I took myself and some templates of like the chest panels, the back panels, etc. So we are making a vest from scratch, and I hope you guys enjoy. Don't forget to leave a like and subscribe. I'll see you in the next clip. Bye.
All right, you guys, we're drafting our pattern and I'm using a template for the armholes just because I liked the fit of this other pattern I used. So we're tracing out that and then adjusting it with the correct measurements just for a starting point so we kind of have a rough idea of what we're working with. And then I'm adding the rest of my measurements and drawing the rest of the pattern. So I will check back in with you when we're done. This is the idea I have. I don't know if I like that top pocket though. I'll probably remove that just because I only have two black zippers and I feel like two pockets is enough. And they are patch pockets, so we're just throwing them right on top of that vest. So we're just going to attach these zippers both to the bottom piece and the top piece. The top is going to be a little flap kind of style just to cover the zipper when we throw it on top of the vest, and it's in that fleece fabric. So we're going to top stitch and then iron our raw edges in. Because we're not adding a backing onto that pocket, we're just throwing it right onto the vest. So we're just covering those raw edges, ironing them down, and then we're going to stitch along the edges and set them aside and work on our next piece. Grabbing some interfacing and our front plackets for the button snaps, we are ironing in our interfacing, and then we're going to fold it in half, iron it down again, then we're going to unfold it and grab our ruler and trace out a 2 centimeter seam allowance. Once we're finished that, we're going to fold in that 2 centimeter seam allowance and iron that down so that we have 1 centimeter of raw edge folded into the inside. And then we're going to bring it over to our sewing machine, fold it back to its right sides together so the wrong sides are out. And then we're just going to straight stitch along the edge, only one side, up until where it's folded. So just at that corner, about 1 centimeter of seam allowance roughly. So we're just going to top stitch over that, and then we're going to flip it back right sides out so we have a nice clean finish on the one side. We are working on our top panels, the front and back now, and we are giving ourselves 1 centimeter of seam allowance, just doing a straight stitch along the shoulders, then bringing it over to the serger and cleaning up those raw ends. Then we're working on the collar. So we're gonna grab 2 of our collar pieces, attach right side to wrong side of the panels, and pin it to the inside. Then we're grabbing our second piece and doing right side to right side, pinning it on the outside, giving ourselves 1 centimeter of seam allowance, doing a straight stitch all the way across, then bringing it over to the serger again. Now we're top stitching all 4 ends, so I pulled the collars up so both right sides are out, and I'm just doing a straight stitch along all 4 ends, really close to the end, and then we're going to add our elastic binding to the top, so that'll be our clean final look for the collar. So we're pinning our elastic binding in place. I did cut it a little bit shorter than the collar itself, just so it pulls it in rather than sits upright. So we're pinning that in place, straight stitching all the way across, and then we're going to fold it over and cover the other side, and then we will work on our next step. We are adding elastic binding to the bottom half of the back panel. So we're just cutting that about 2 inches shorter than the panel itself, and then pinning it in place and sewing it along the edge, folding it back over and sewing it across again. And then we'll work on the front bottom half. Our front bottom panels now, we're pinning them in place right sides together. Then we're just going to straight stitch along the edge with about 1 centimeter of seam allowance. Then we'll bring it over to our serger to finish it. And once we're done that, we will top stitch, and then we'll work on our placket. Moving back over to our front placket, we're pinning it in place with our right sides together all the way down the front of the vest. And then we're going to sew along the edge with 1 centimeter of seam allowance. We're going to flip it out so it's right side out. And then we're top stitching along all 4 ends, hiding those raw edges in between the 2 placket pieces. The reason they're called patch pockets is because we're literally just sewing it onto the front. There's no inside pocket or liner or anything. It's just going right on the vest. So we're just doing straight stitch along all 4 ends on both the pockets. Finishing off the armholes now, I'm just serging the raw ends to clean them up and flatten them out so that I can add the elastic binding a lot easier because this fabric's pretty thick. So I pinned the elastic binding in place, and now I'm just stitching it on. And then we are going to attach the final back piece to the rest of the vest. Back panel pinned, so now we're just doing a straight stitch along the edge, 1 centimeter of seam allowance, then we bring it over to the serger, clean it up, and then top stitch. Once we're done that, we're putting our front and back right sides together, pinning from the armhole down, straight stitching with another centimeter of seam allowance, bringing it back over to the serger, and then the sides are finished. And now we have to do the button snaps. With the button snaps, I did 2 inches from the top and then 5 inches apart for the rest. And I did it off camera because I was struggling to get them to stay in, and it was just taking way too long. So I did it off camera, but here's the finished look.
Okay, you guys, that is it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed watching it as much as I enjoyed making it. There was a couple hiccups here and there measurement wise, but that's okay. It didn't turn out too bad for my first attempt. And yeah, let me know if you guys want to see me design some more patterns that hopefully work out a little bit better. Don't forget to leave a like and subscribe. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.